fatigue syndrome. Researchers have been studying people who've been diagnosed with it, trying to figure out what might be causing their symptoms, which range from joint pain, debilitating fatigue, and inflammation. A team of researchers reports that they've hit on something. Out of 101 people diagnosed with chronic fatigue, 67% of them had a specific virus in their blood, a virus called XMRV, and just 4% or so of healthy volunteers had the virus in their blood. Scientists have known about the virus for a while. It's been implicated in other diseases. Joining me now to talk more about this work published in the journal Science is John Coffin, professor of molecular biology and microbiology at Tufts University in Boston. Welcome to Science Friday, Dr. Coffin.
Good afternoon, Ira. Thank you.
So this is pretty good, a pretty good indication, a pretty good connection?
For a first report, it's very good. In fact, there's still a lot of work to be done to firmly establish a causal relationship between the virus and the disease, but it's a very, very interesting first step.
Well, this would also vindicate a lot of people who have chronic fatigue syndrome, who have, been abused by people who think it's all in your head, you've got something else, it's just a syndrome, there's no real cause to it, things like that.
I would imagine that's the case, yes.
Mm-hmm. And so how did you go about, what was your motivation for looking for this viral connection?
I have to make one thing very clear right here. The work we're discussing was not mine. Mm-hmm. It was done by other groups. I'm a very interested observer and chronicler of their work, mm-hmm. and I had worked on this virus many years ago when we thought it was just a mouse virus. Mm-hmm. The people that did work on it, my understanding is that their motivation was based on a correlation that had been previously reported this virus in a certain specific mutation in individuals with prostate cancer mm-hmm. in a gene called RNase L.
Mm-hmm. How many more people would need to be studied, do you think? And do you need a much larger study to make a better, more cementable?
Well, we certainly need a much larger study, but that's absolutely called for. We don't know. We don't know very much about the association except for the 101 people you just mentioned. And my understanding is there's over 1 million people diagnosed with chronic fatigue syndrome or suspected to have chronic fatigue syndrome in the United States alone. Mm-hmm. Is it possible there are multiple diseases that have very similar symptoms, and there's all kinds of things that are possible here that we just haven't sorted out yet.
Is it possible that the virus is a red herring in a way? And I mean by that people with chronic fatigue may have some other problem that leaves them susceptible to getting this virus?
That's entirely possible, and this all needs to be sorted out, and I think it will be sorted out very quickly, probably within the next few months.
Where do you find the virus in the body?
The virus, so far, has been found in white blood cells principally, and it's been possible by the groups that were doing this to actually isolate and grow virus from those cells and to grow it in new cells of the same type from healthy donors. Mm-hmm. So we don't know. It's been isolated from those cells because those are, in a sense, the easiest cells to look at. You can just take some blood and get them out of it. We don't know what other cells it is and isn't in infected individuals at this point.
Mm-hmm. And the virus has been implicated in other diseases.
There's an implication of prostate cancer. There was a paper that appeared about a month or so ago providing a somewhat less striking, about a 25% incidence of the virus in cases of prostate cancer.
Mm-hmm. And do we know where it comes from?
Well, it almost has to come from mice. It's very, very closely related to what's called an endogenous virus of mice. An endogenous virus is a retrovirus that's inherited in the DNA, in the germline of its host. And we have been studying this. This is a virus we've been studying for over 25 years now in mice, never thinking that it might in fact also be in humans.
1-800-989-8255 is our number. Also, you can tweet us at SciFri. In the 101 patients, or in the total study of all the patients, were they split equally among different ages, or did you find that the virus was in older or younger people or certain people of certain age?
I don't believe, again, it wasn't my study. Mm-hmm. My understanding is there wasn't any obvious connection of that sort, but I don't know that for sure, I have to admit.
Is there any way to get rid of this virus once it's in your bloodstream?
Probably not. A retrovirus like HIV is also a retrovirus, and there's no way to get rid of HIV that we know of, despite the fact that we've tried very, very hard over many years to do so. The HIV infection can be suppressed, and people can be relieved of the symptoms of the disease for very long periods of time, but nobody, as far as we know, has ever really been proven to be cured of the infection. And I suspect the same thing would prove to be true of this virus as well.
Mm-hmm.